2025 is my year. I got me a whole hit list marked down. I can see the target. But I'm starting off with that boy Boots out there in Philly. I'm finna go ahead and get that done with. I gotta make that happen before he move up to 154. After that, I see T.O. Hill playing games. He'll think about going up to 147. If you think about doing it, I'm right here. If you want to fight at 140, we both WBO. I could cut out a 140 with you. Trust me, it's not a problem at all. And that's also for all the other 140-pound champions. Anybody can get it for real. I just want to let that be known. Like I said, I've been quiet for too long. That's my mistake. But I'm tightening up, and now it's time to take over this whole boxing game.
WBO champion at 147, Brian Norman Jr. has made a hit list. And the fighters on that hit list include Jaron Boots Ennis and Teofimo Lopez. It's very convenient to have these call-outs when you have a fight coming up. As we know, Jaron Boots Ennis had an average performance against Karan Jukachan. Now everybody wants to fight. Brian Norman Jr. is in a weird situation, right? You know, he was offered the Jaron Boots Ennis fight, turned it down because he says he wanted more money. But on the other side of the token, Top Rank was trying to make that fight with him and Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez turned down the fight. And I thought Teofimo Lopez had a better chance of beating Brian Norman Jr. than he had of beating Jaron Boots Ennis. But not only that, if Teofimo Lopez beats Brian Norman Jr., he becomes the WBO champion at 147. That would have forced Boots Ennis into a unification match with him. And not only that, Teofimo also has this on the table. He has Brian Norman Jr., who says he's willing to fight Teofimo at 147 or 140. Very crazy. You have like a duck triangle, right? Teofimo ducked Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman Jr. ducked Jaron Boots Ennis. And then some people think Jaron Boots Ennis ducked Teofimo. Yeah, that's called a duck triangle. Now, when you look at boxing compared to the 80s and 90s, when a guy usually call out another guy in the 80s and 90s, the fight's gonna happen. These days, people calling out everybody and the fight does not materialize. Brian Norman Jr.'s next opponent is supposed to be a tune-up, Derek Cuevas from Puerto Rico. But if we learn anything from tune-ups, just ask Jaime Magia. Boxing is a theater of the unexpected. Anything can happen. And this guy is a bigger puncher than McGee's opponent was. He's 27-1 with 19 knockouts. So we'll see if Brian Norman Jr. gets past Cuevas, will he have the same energy? Now, I'm not saying he won't have the same energy, but it's easy to call somebody out when you got a fight scheduled. Tank Davis does it all the time. One thing about the Normans, they're very saucy and entertaining. I look forward to see what they're going to do in 2025. But if any one of these fights materialize, also he said he's willing to go to 140 and unify there. But if any of those fights materialize, I'm talking about Teofimo or Jaron Boots Ennis against Brian Norman Jr., I think Brian Norman Jr. will be an underdog in those two fights. When I mean underdog in my eyes, because I don't think Brian Norman Jr. can beat either one of those two. But anyway, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about Brian Norman Jr.'s hit list? Jay Beasy, I'm gone.